Hey, Videobob, welcome back to my channel. Here's a little update on the Knight 4000 car. We're working on the screen use car that was used in the movie Knight Rider 2000. It's a concept vehicle based off of it's a movie production vehicle that was based off the concept Pontiac Banshee vehicle, and which is pretty much the same thing that the guy, the legit street cars car that they were working on, they got from Rob Lewis, which was also based on the Banshee. So you could, if this is your first time watching, go back and watch some of the other videos about the Knight 4000 car. And we have a Facebook group dedicated to the restoration of the car on Facebook. Just look for the Knight 4000, Knight Rider 2000 restoration page. This is the little module that ran the scanner unit, the little Knight Rider scanner unit at the front of the nose. And it wasn't with the car when I got the car. Now, I've had the car in my possession for over 10 years. It's just been in storage. And you can learn all about the reason why that was in the previous video. The reason this wasn't in the car was because I don't want to name names. There was a fellow who, with another friend of mine, visited Cinema Vehicle Services where this car and the other one like it was stored. And he wanted a souvenir. So he reached inside the center console, yanked this out, put it in his pocket, and took it home. Well, when I started publicly advertising that I had the car and that we started talking about it, I was contacted by someone and said, I know who has this part that you're missing. And he gave me his contact information. I contacted the fellow and said, you have my scanner. And he said, that was wrong of me to do. I was younger back then. This was 15 years ago. I shouldn't have done that. And I'm going to send it back to you. And he boxed it up and sent it to me free of charge. I'm not going to mention his name. There's no need to drag him through the mud. But he gave it back to me. And I know it's the right one because the fellow that kind of snitched on him gave me pictures of him doing it. There's like an entire succession of pictures of him pointing at it, looking at it, pulling it out of the car. Well, here it is. And I've just gotten it, and I'm not going to show you the packaging because I had his address on it. Now, I'm just going to assume that this black is the ground and this red is the power. So let's put 12 volts to it and see what happens. This is my little rig here. All right. Nothing. Oh, wait, I can turn it on. Ah, there we go. So that's what it should be doing right there. Now, I don't know who made this thing. This is a pretty production looking box. This is a pretty messy area. For 10 years I've been sitting here soldering flux capacitors, and like this is part of the upper console that goes on the Back to the Future DeLorean time machines. That's what we're mostly famous for. We're going on our 33rd DeLorean time machine right now. We've done about a half a dozen Knight Riders and some Ghostbusters cars, a little bit of everything. So we've decided we're going to restore the screen used Knight Rider 4000 car, and even though there's newer, better options for the scanner, I think we should put the original one back in. I just wanted to make sure it works. But just for fun, let's open it up and see what's inside this thing. Here's that cool Craftsman screwdriver I showed off in one of my previous videos. I'll put a link to this thing down below. It's the greatest ever. It works through like an accelerometer. You twist it one way and it actually goes that direction. See, look. Isn't that crazy? All right. Huh. Some pretty basic IC chips here. Silly me. Screws fall right out now. Okay, there we go. I want to see if there's any brand maker on here or anything. No? It says 86, 318. So it could be that was made in 1986. Let's look at the chips here. It's pretty simple. It's just driving 12 volts in a chase sequence. Doesn't look like there's much to it at all. I'll put this back together. There we go. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to... I always called these bullets. Yeah, bullets. They're bullet plugs, male and female. And what I'm going to do is, since the power comes from the car and into this, all right, what I'm going to do is, actually this is a power output. So I'm going to make these female, because if this is ever unplugged, you wouldn't want one of the males flopping around and grinding out to something. So we're going to put the females onto the... Did I just assume the gender of this terminal? Okay, I'm going to put they on the end of here. These are the old terminals I cut off. I'm not throwing anything away. Everything is going to be saved. And some of these items will become prizes or auction items or charity items. And I'll put K 4,000 on there. Now I know what they are. And little things like this will be souvenirs for Knight Rider fans. There's a lot of you out there. Because somebody out there want to have these rather than just throwing them in the trash. Well, managed to fish out the scanner bar. It was under there. It had just been fiberglassed into place. Thankfully not very well. I managed to just break it out of there. The lens, which is just a piece of red acrylic, it's been painted over several times. You can see where they painted it over red once. So they obviously just repainted the car red again. Probably for Chips 99. I'm trying to think of the other shows where it was red before they painted it black. So I know it was red in Chips 99. And I think that's it. So maybe that's when this was painted red again. But they just wanted to cover up the scanner. So they just painted over it. And then when they painted the car black, they just painted over it black. They just left it in there, just painted right in there. So it's got a couple layers of paint. It's cracked. This is going to have to be replaced. This is going to make a cool souvenir. This is, looks like they just made this. You know, you could see where this was, from what I can tell, I don't know if this is pieces of U-channel, but, they welded it here. They tacked in a couple of these little things here. These are just some little 194 bulbs with, these are basically fender marker lights. I hate to do it, but I'm going to have to replace most of this, I think. Probably keep this actual bar. I'm going to go ahead and replace all of these sockets and all of this wiring because it's just in too bad a condition. It's brittle. It's over 30 years old. It's filthy. It's got bad contacts. All the sockets need to be cleaned. I want to try to have as much original parts as possible. But when it comes to certain things like electronics, I know I'm going to be plagued with problems. The lights are going to randomly work because of bad contacts. They're going to require more power. They're going to have bad grounds. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to order a 10 conductor, thicker gauge wire cord. I'm going to order all new of these lights. I'm going to rewire this. I'm going to try to retain this same unit here and put it back into place. All I got to do is kind of glue it back into place. I may try to experiment and do something interesting, maybe replacing the white bulbs with red ones. I thought about LEDs. everybody hates the idea of using LEDs because these kind of have a fading effect. So I'm going to experiment with regular incandescent 194s, maybe some that are red, some that are clear, just to see how it looks. But I mean, to do it exactly as it was, they'd be regular clear 194s, and then just a piece of acrylic. This is about, I don't know, 22 inches long by 2 inches high. So I'll get another piece of this. You heat it up, you bend it. But unfortunately, this can't be used. I mean, this. But we'll make this a cool souvenir for somebody. Okay, inside here, well, here's the other end of this. I'm guessing that, I wonder if that's the power lead. And I wish I'd have come and looked at this because, well, it's a blade fuse and I put a bullet on the end. I'll just switch it out. And here's the other ends of these things tied together. So I'm going to cut these off. We'll save these to go with the others. I was just checking, this wire's so old. I was wondering if it was gray, but it's black. This is so slow and boring. Mr. Butterfingers. A little bit of Bob DNA in every car. Ew. Ah. Damn thorns. Damn plant. Food me. I think this is the little sumbitch. See, I should have. This was the one that got me earlier. The little Audrey 2 that bit me. I got the key on. Alright, this looks like the same wire that's running over to that toggle switch. And there's definitely some shenanigans going on here. This is tomfoolery. Yeah. All right. What we'll do for now, just for this minute, tie these together. This is a thermal fuse. What happens is when it gets too hot, this'll the structure of this will change and it'll unconnect itself. Oh, I see. It went right here. Yes, this is a thermal switch. This is the other half of it where it was mounted. I didn't even notice that. And they just put that little thermal switch there so that if it overloaded or overheated, and then it obviously failed, and they just taped it up with this tape. This wire was red and they painted it black. It does have some broken wires here, but I don't know if this is supposed to attach. I don't see. Sometimes you have to have a ground right on it. So I don't know if this is supposed to ground to something. Let's go back inside and take a look. Let's see if this toggle switch is hot now. This toggle switch doesn't seem to be doing anything. I don't know if that connection up there is bad. I don't know if that switch has anything to do with anything. Well, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to get it working. I was kind of hoping to have a triumphant ending to this. But, you know, after working with the box, it's just not going to work, unfortunately. Spent 2 days trying to get the box to work. Runs on 12 volts. It's supposed to be putting out 12 volts. It's only putting about 4 volts out, which means it's got some bad parts on it. I did find out that the box was made by J.C. Whitney, sold through their catalog back in the 80s, 90s. And I've found a replacement. I'm going to see if I can't steal some parts off of it. I really want to get the original controller working, or at least use the same type of controller. Keep it all original as much as possible. But there's just certain things that can't always do. As far as the engine goes, we're not sure what to do with this thing. we're tossing back and forth between rebuilding this one and just replacing it. Again, we want to use the original parts, but this thing's obviously in bad shape. The time that it's going to take to go through this thing versus just yanking it out and putting another one, I don't know. And I don't know if it really matters. It has the original engine in it. I think it would be better if the car was all original, but you can only do so much. Car's sat for 10 years without being touched. Car's 30 years old, and you just have to make certain concessions. So, stay tuned. Make sure to follow, subscribe, and turn on your notifications, and give us a like. We really appreciate it. The first video we did on this has like 250,000 views or something like that. So if you haven't watched the other videos, if you just came across this one, go back to my channel and look at some of the other videos. And as you can see here, this is the RoboCop police car. That's what we do here is movie vehicles. We do the Back to the Future DeLorean time machine, the Ecto-1. There's a Knight Rider over there. There's a DeLorean time machine over there, out of view. That's what we do. So stay tuned. I'll let you know what happens when we get the new electronics boards. That's the update for today. Thanks, everybody. I'm Videobob.